Hey there to my 35 subscribers, my future subscribers, and all the people that secretly watch me without subscribing. I had talked about about the Enchanted Forest yesterday, day before, whatever it was, and there was a lot of things that were left out, and I really wanted to talk about the road trips that I went on with my kids, and not talking about the standard driving to Sacramento all the time, but actual road trips where we went to different places and explored and seen things. And so anyway, with my girls, it was in 1998. I was using just a regular standard camera that unfortunately the cover on the lens broke, so I was having a little difficulty with the pictures, plus having to buy film. I was limited on the pictures. I couldn't just sit there and take hundreds of pictures, so I had to be selective, and there was some pictures that are missing, so I'll do my best. And of course, my memory's not that great, so we'll just see what I can do here. But in 1998, I hadn't been to any family reunions in a long time, and I wanted to take my girls to one. And my mom's side of the family, there's actually two different reunions. Of course, some people show up at both. It just depends, because some are related on both sides. Anyway, so anyway, I wanted to go to the family reunion, and I had a roommate, and his family lived nearby where the reunion was, and so I agreed to give him a ride and drive up there, and we decided to make a trip of it, and go see things. And so anyway, we went. I don't really remember the trip from here up to Chilcoin, Oregon. I don't know why, but that whole section of the trip's a blur. But I vaguely remember it raining and my windshield wipers not working right. But I don't know. I could be confused, but I'm thinking that's what happened. But anyway, so we went up there, up on Highway 97, and stopped at Collier Park. Had a little picnic there. My girls were all excited. They got to feed some chipmunks, toss them some bread. And I will include pictures where possible. Across the street from the park, there's the logging museum. And we weren't able to go inside the area because it was fenced off that day, and the fence was locked, but their gate was locked. It is an outdoor thing, but like I said, it was locked, so we just kind of took a couple pictures from a distance, and then we continued up Highway 97, and there was this place called Thunder Beast Park, and I thought, well, this will be kind of fun, prehistoric museum. And I got a lot of pictures. I'll just share a handful of them, but the place was closed permanently. I guess a storm came in, did a lot of damage, and they shut it down. So I'm glad I got the pictures and took my girls there, because I've never been able to go back. Everything was hauled out of there as far as I know. Then we went up to Highway 138 and took the scenic byway through the Umpqua National Forest, and it was beautiful. And went and saw a bunch of waterfalls, rivers, went on different paths, and it's just really pretty up there. A lot of exercise. The time kind of got away from us, but as we continued down that, we went and visited a friend at Job Corps in Glide, Oregon. And once we were done there, we continued to the coast, and by the time we got there, I don't remember how late it was. I do remember getting really, really tired, and I'd only had a driver's license for maybe a month at this time, so I had a lot of anxiety, and it was stressful driving tired when you hadn't been driving for very long. But so we managed to make it there, but when we got near there, you know, I don't know the streets. I've never driven them before, and we were all turned around trying to figure out where we were going, you know, relying on maps in the dark. And I came out of this road and realized I was on a one-way street, and I thought a cop had seen me, because right after we pulled out of that street, cop had their lights and sirens going behind us, and I thought for sure I was going to get in trouble, but I pulled over and they passed me because I guess there was an accident down the highway. But we did make it to the coast and got out, stretched, got some fresh air, rearranged the car so we could sleep in the car, because we hadn't considered accommodations at the time. We were just like, oh, let's go. And didn't think about what to do on the way. But so we're standing outside getting there, and there's all kinds of barking noises, and my girls got all excited. They're like, oh, Mom, there's dogs. And I was like, no, those are seals, because they thought there were dogs in the ocean. But it was really cute. And the next morning we woke up, and I took the girls down on the beach and let them play in the sand for a little bit. It was kind of short because we all had to use the restroom, so we had to leave. But it was fun anyway. I wish I would have gotten pictures on the beach. I thought I did, but can't find them. Anyway, we headed, oh shoot, I forgot to write down. I think it was the 101, Highway 101. So we drove down Highway 101, and we got almost to Tillamook, which is near Washington, and there were all kinds of signs that said, oh, turn your headlights on, and I was like, that's ridiculous, but you know, I'm sure there was a reason. I don't know nothing about driving, so turned my headlights on, and we got to Tillamook, took the girls into the cheese factory. All the pictures from Glide, Oregon up through their birthdays are gone, but I did take them to the Tillamook cheese factory. Got you know, the best milkshakes in the world, and got to check everything out and go check, you know, look at all the stores and everything. Had lunch, and got back out to the car and had a dead battery because, you know, our headlights were still on. And I couldn't even tell you how many people we asked to give us a jump start, and it was really surprising to me how many people were rude. We finally did find an elderly man willing to give us a jump start, and he hooked the cables up backwards. Kind of leaves a new meaning to letting the smoke out of things, but magically the alternator kept working. Miracle. And so we continued and finally made it up to my roommate's family up in Washington. I don't remember what town they were in, but we went there and finally got a rest, and I was exhausted because, like I said, I wasn't used to driving at all. While we were there, they had a birthday party for my girls, because my girls, their birthdays are not super close together, but close enough that when they were little, we always celebrated them together. So we celebrated their birthdays at the park, and went to the family reunion. The particular one we went to is the Appling family reunion, which is pretty small. And but they do it every year. I think they actually do it twice a year, because I think they do it in the summer, and then they do a Christmas one. And then I also took them to Wolf Haven, which I guess now they've changed the name to White Wolf Sanctuary, but it's in Tidewater, Oregon. And after we were done up there, visiting for quite a while, we headed back, and that's when we went to the Enchanted Forest in Turner, Oregon, which is off of I-5, 10 miles south of Salem. And one thing I wanted to mention, because I didn't mention it in the video a couple of days ago, was about the haunted house. The person I was with, my roommate, not with, but that was with us, he watched my youngest daughter, who was, let me think, she was 5 at the time. No, is that right? I'm terrible with numbers. I think she was 5. It doesn't sound right. I don't know. She was 5, I guess. And my oldest daughter, Jocelyn, was 7. And so, actually no, he was holding Jocelyn's hand, and I was carrying my 5-year-old. I don't know why I was carrying her. I don't remember. But he made me walk in front of him to trigger all the different things to go off, because he was terrified and went through there with me anyway. And so I triggered everything, and he was still screaming and crying the whole time. And we got out of there, and it's a pretty big haunted house. Like, it takes a while to get through it, but we got out, and Jocelyn was crying and kind of hysterical, actually. And then she calmed down, and she's like, "Can we go again?" And of course, my roommate absolutely refused. He was too scared to go back in. But it was fun anyway. We got to explore, got to take our time and check out everything that was there at the time. So back in '98, I actually did get to see everything at the park that was open. And then on the way home, keep in mind, I was using regular maps, and didn't have, GPS and all that stuff back then. And we ran into an area in the middle of nowhere that was backed up traffic, like way, way backed up. I'll show you a picture of in front of us and behind us. Apparently, we'd been there for about 2 hours when somebody, I can't remember, it might have been a cop that came by, and I asked what was going on. He said that a pickup hit a semi that was hauling a house, or part of a house, on a bridge. So there was no estimate on when the bridge would get opened back up, and I wanted to get home. I was getting really tired, so we pulled out the map on the hood of the car, and I found a dirt road. And this dirt road, we were driving down it, and there were bugs that were, I don't remember exactly, but I would guess, they looked like they were about that big. But it was just swarms of them. I could not see the road. And I made my roommate stick his head out the window and tell me how close I was to the edge of the road. And yeah, we made it home, but it was an adventure. And it's the only real road trip I went on with my girls, besides trips to Sacramento. And anyway, and then in 2013, my son was 12. Yeah, he had just turned 12. And we wanted to make a trip with my mom to go spread my dad's ashes. And luckily I had a digital camera at the time. And we also had GPS. So that part was a little easier. And we well, first I'll show you a picture of the gas prices here in town to show you what it was like 10 years ago. Not much different than it is now. I know a lot of people think that the gas prices have just skyrocketed, and I mean, kind of they have, but it's like up and down, and there's really not much difference than what it was back then. It just happens that it dropped, you know, quite a bit, and then went back up. That's all. And anyway, so we went up to Klamath Falls, Oregon. I let my mom and I were supposed to split the driving. She kind of weaseled her way out of most of it, but she did make the trip from here to Klamath, which is 100 miles, and went to the animal shelter there because she was insisting she was going to get herself a dog. So we had to go and look at all the dogs because she just had to have one. We didn't get one, but she wanted one. And before leaving, we did some shopping, got food and different things while we were there. That's where people in this town go to shop quite often. But we were getting ready to leave town, and Jocelyn, some of her family, was nearby, so we met them at a gas station on the way out of town. First time I had seen some of them ever, and first time I seen her aunt in a really long time, so that was nice. And I would give you years, but I don't know. So we got to meet with them, visit for a little bit, and then headed up to Collier Park on Highway 97 out of Chiloquin, because my girls loved it so much. We thought we'd go look for chipmunks, and we managed to find one. It wasn't as cooperative as the ones from the previous years, but we did find one, and my son got to feed it. Went across the street to the logging museum and actually got to explore it quite a bit. So my son had fun doing that. And then as we continued on Highway 97, I handed my son the camera and let him learn how to take pictures. He hadn't really used a camera much before that, so the pictures were a little all over the place, but I'll share some with you. Not all of them, obviously, because he went on a picture taking spree, took hundreds of pictures, so but I'll share some of them. And anyway, we got up to Highway 138 because we decided to take a similar route, or almost identical route, that I had taken 15 years earlier. So we got up to 138, took the scenic byway. You know, of course, we stopped at different waterfalls and stuff. Made sure to stop at my favorite one. And the Watson Falls, that's the one that I have quite a few pictures of. And I really wanted to go get pictures as close as I could, but my mom was complaining that she couldn't make it up all the way, and I didn't want to leave her behind. And so Skylar took it upon himself to grab my camera and her camera, and I don't know what he was thinking, but he ran up, through there and got us some pictures. He came down and he was proud of himself, so were we, and then he realized just how exhausted he was, and I felt bad for him, but I took pictures of him anyway, because why not? And memories. So anyway, we went all over through that forest taking pictures, and we got back on the road and headed for the coast. This time we had somewhere to stay because we planned it. We actually made plans, and we stayed at my aunt and uncle's, and they had this beautiful area in front of their house with tons of quartz, and I love quartz. So of course we got pictures of that, and my son took pictures of everything in their house, but I'm not going to share the inside of their house with you guys. And anyway, so we spent the night there, and the next morning we went shopping all over the place. My mom, I can't even remember what she wanted that day. I'm sure it was either a purse or a wallet, because that's what it usually is, and I'm sure it was purple, because that's what it usually is. So we went from store to store to store all over while we waited for our appointment with the charter boat, and had a lot of fun, bought a lot of knickknacks. I probably should have brought some of them in here to show you, but that's all right. Maybe someday, if you guys want, I'll show you some of them. But anyway, we had an appointment with Betty K. Charter to go out in the ocean, spread my dad's ashes. And my brother met us there. None of us had seen him in a really long time, so it was nice to catch up a little bit. And we went out in the ocean. It was beautiful, and my mom looked so peaceful in one picture. I really liked the picture, but she said she was terrified in it. I don't know. She doesn't look terrified, but she might have been. My son was trying to be brave and refused to let me give him anything for motion sickness. My mom and I took airborne. My son refused, and he got really, really seasick and tried to pretend he wasn't, but until he couldn't pretend no more. And I took a picture of him when he didn't realize I was taking a picture, because I just wanted the memory, that, you know, intangible memory. So anyway, so we all got pictures, you know, of the ocean and the boat and everything. And then when we left there, we that was on Highway 540. Sorry, I forgot about the highway numbers. We got on Highway 101, and I got pictures of some bridges. I love bridges. I have an addiction to fancy bridges, which is funny because I used to avoid them, but now I just love them. And we went to Sea Lion Caves in Florence, and I will share some pictures from that. One picture was my son showed me that he might fly away, because it was storming pretty good that day. As far as the winds and stuff, it was pretty intense. The charter boat wasn't even supposed to be out on the water, and they made an exception because we had an appointment and we traveled a long ways. But anyway, I'll share some pictures of the sea lions, even though you probably can't tell what they are in the pictures. And there was also, when we were inside the cave, we could see a lighthouse, so I'll share a picture of the lighthouse. I wish we would have gone to the lighthouse, but I didn't think about it at the time. I was just kind of stressing because we had to go find a motel, and we were calling around when we left Sea Lion Caves, and there was no motels. It took us, I don't remember how far we went before we finally found a motel. And so we spent the night, and I got up early because I knew I had to drive, because my mom, she kept saying she couldn't drive through the mountains because it scared her. She couldn't drive along the coast because it scared her. She was just refusing to drive almost the entire trip. But anyway, so we head to Tillamook, and we didn't get to be there as long as I wanted to, because my mom was kind of procrastinating on the way there, or I should say procrastinating at the motel. And so it took us a while to get there, and we went to all the little shops, and of course we had milkshakes, because again, they have the best milkshakes. They have all kinds of flavors. They make their own milk. Took pictures of them making cheese, and the factory part of it. And I was stressing really bad by the time we got out of there because I knew we were running really late because we had to get to the reunion by a certain time. And so I called my cousin, told him we'd be late, but we were coming. That way they'd know how many people to feed. Anyway, so we headed to the family reunion. And we stopped at the store in the middle of nowhere because it got to a point where I couldn't even open my eyes. And so my mom had to drive because I physically was unable. And when we got up in Washington, or around Washington, there was a tunnel, which is maybe not impressive to a lot of people, but I never see tunnels, so I took a picture. And although I didn't get a picture as good as I wanted because the camera wasn't working right, so I got a picture of the end of it. And of course, lots of bridges because I love bridges. And or at least I should say I love these bridges, these green, these metal ones painted green. I don't know, I think they're really pretty. It reminds me of where my grandparents lived in Toledo. And anyway, we got to the reunion off of I-5 in Battleground, Washington. This is the Strunk family reunion, which I don't know how many people that go to that, but it's a lot. I have some pictures, but you can't really see how many people are in it, but you can at least see the area, which is really pretty. And they have it in the same place every year, or almost every year. We were there for quite a while. They included my dad in the memorial. Every year they do a memorial for the family members that are lost. And so yeah, we did that. And when we left there, I drove and made it to Portland, Oregon, and I was too tired to drive. And there's no way my mom could drive with the traffic, and so I just parked in a parking lot and went to sleep. Took a nap because I had to. I didn't have a choice. After I woke up, we drove. I can't remember the whole thing, but we ended up going to another aunt and uncle's house. I'm not going to mention their names, and I'm not going to show pictures of them or their property because, he already threatened to sue me because of a 35-year-old picture with him in it that I had on the cover of a book I made, and had to change the cover, so I'm just not going to do that. So anyway, just take my word for it. My mom has another brother. We spent the night there, and it was really nice. Can't tell you much about it. Sorry. We left there the next day and headed to the Enchanted Forest. And of course, my mom and I already told you a lot about that a couple days ago. But it was a lot of fun. We didn't get to see nearly as much as I wanted to because the place has gotten so much bigger, and I knew I wanted to be able to get home that day, and we were still a long ways from home. And so we just explored as much as we could, and I don't know, it was a nice little break from driving. I can't remember if there's anything I wanted to tell you about the actual place, things that we did, but anyway, we already told you most of it a couple of days ago. So anyway, then we drove down Highway 5, I-5, and it was really, really smoky because in the previous couple of days after we drove through where all the waterfalls were. That area caught on fire. I don't know how much of it burned, but it was a lot. But we went to Central Point in Oregon, and we went to Sonic, which, I don't know, not my favorite place, but it's always nice to go do something different. So we went there and ate, had breakfast anyway, or no, lunch, I think. I don't know, I don't remember the time frame, but we ate, and then after that we went down the street. It wasn't very far to the Rogue Family Fun Center, and they have all kinds of arcade games and stuff, which we didn't do, but we did go on the go-karts. My mom said she wasn't having fun, and I'll share a picture with you just to show you just how much fun she was not having. We did some bumper boats that have water cannons on them. Again, she claimed she wasn't having fun, so I'll share a picture with you of that too. And we went on a couple of mini golf courses, which of course she wasn't having fun because she said so. She was being difficult, but got a couple of pictures of my son because he was waiting for his turn. And anyway, I just realized this video is half an hour. I'm sorry. That was not my intent, so maybe I should have made this in 2 videos. But anyway, those are the road trips I had with my kids. When we got done at the Family Fun Center, we drove back, stopped in Klamath because, you know, my mom had to shop, and then she drove the 100 miles home. So, I don't know, 1,300 mile trip, and she drove 200. That's totally splitting it, right? Anyway, that's all for now, and hope you enjoy my rambling. I apparently do it too much. I say a lot. I get confused. I get forgetful. But, yeah. Anyway, I will be back in a couple of days because it's almost the 12th, and I'll be doing a chapter of my first book. So, anyway, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you've been to any of these places or if you know where they're at. And if you have, what you think of them. And I'll be back in a couple of days. Thank you. Bye.
740 I look at 740 fly. I could drove the old school Chevy, but my fans up the night, so I'm rock star ready. I could let the VIP waiting, but they all waiting for me. I'm a lightweight, famous, hold up.